Alright, now we're going to be building our captive rest for this bow. So you're going to need a cross-fitting. You don't have to modify this at all. You're also going to need 2 toothbrushes. Doesn't really matter what they look like, just as long as they have straight bristles and everything's pretty much just normal. These are really cheap. What you want to do is take your cross-fitting and mark a couple lines on the sides. You want them to go in about, I'd say about 1/8 of an inch. We're going to go with the saw and cut from up here down to the base in straight lines. I'm going to go ahead and cut that and I'll show you what it looks like. Alright, I've gone ahead and made my cuts. Now you're going to need to do some shaping. So since I'm out here, I'm going to be using the torch. And you're also going to need a piece of 3/4 inch pipe on hand to help you do the shaping. So first we're going to heat one side. So you want to heat that. You want it to be completely soft. So. Right, you take your 3/4 inch piece and you want to bring it down at an angle. This piece should kind of come down and flare out a little bit. This will be something of a handguard, so when you're holding your bow, it's a little bit of extra protection against an arrow. I'm just going to hold this out here until it cools. I'd have to kind of pull on it a little bit. There it is. So now we're going to heat the other side. Now you take your 3/4 inch piece and you push this inside. Make sure that it's centered as possible. Okay, so now you're going to go back. See, I've kind of smushed it down like this. Just want to heat it all up again, and you're going to force them together. So you see, I'm pushing this PVC pipe into this area. Now what you want to do is, since the sides are also soft, you want to bring them in and press them down onto the PVC pipe like this. You can see. So you want to pull these in from the side and push down. And there you go. There's the main body of our captive rest. Now we're going to need to add our bristles, but first I'm going to go ahead and grind this with a file just to get rid of all these fuzzy edges and whatnot. Now, if you can see all these burns on here, the burns are caused from the little pieces that were left from the saw. If you don't want to see this, then just take those off and it wouldn't burn. So here we go. I'll do that and I'll show you what it looks like. Alright, here's our captive rest shaped. Now we're going to be adding our bristles. So the first thing you want to do, take your toothbrushes, and these are kind of neat because they're in little bundles. So I'm going to be cutting the bundles apart. I need 2 of these little bundles. So I'm going to be taking my PVC cutter and just bring it down and cut right where the pieces join. Like that. We go back and do it one more time to split these. You want to try your best to get it right along the middle because you don't want the bristles to come apart. There you go. So like this. See, I've got a little packet of bristles. So you want to go ahead and do that again. You're going to need 3 of these, so I would get 2 from one brush and 1 from the other brush. So you can see I've got my little pieces here. I'm going to cut 1 more off here. Okay, so now I have my bristles. I'm going to take my odd bristle, so that's the blue one, and I've got some hot melt glue. You can use whatever glue you want. Alright, so there you can see your first bristle is in. Now that it's glued in there, what we're going to do is actually cut it with a pair of scissors and trim it down. We're going to have to do that for each one of these, but it's a little easier once the bristles are in place. So I'm going to go ahead and trim it and put the other 2 in, and I'll show you what that looks like. Here's the finished captive rest. I went ahead and I glued the 2 bristles on the top and I trimmed them all. So the way this works is you take your arrow, you drop it in, holds it in place, and then when you release the arrow, it'll go through here and the feathers will pass right through. It's a little easier to see for veins, but this way you can shoot veins or feathers out of the same bow. This works really well for duct tape fletching as well. Now, the only thing is that if you were using something like FOBs or something similar to that, you'd want a larger diameter rest here, just so that it has clearance. But for pretty much everything else, this will work. So here it is. I'm just going to go ahead and paint this and then finish up everything else.